Well, thank you for doing this. It's so lovely to actually connect with you and fellow Rhode Islander. So I actually don't even know. So David, and how do you say your last name?
Pollak.
David Pollak. And you're in some kind of technology.
Yeah, I work at Cisco, and I work in the firewall group. So we make the stuff that protects, your internet from bad people.
Okay.
And we also make the tools that make it possible for remote workers to log on to like corporate networks.
Okay. That actually makes some sense to me.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And all started at Rick.
Yeah, well, it actually all started at Rhode Island Civil Defense back in 1978. Yeah, I'm really old. So
That's not true.
So I was working at a computer store in Rhode Island, and this guy from Civil Defense came in and said, "Hey, we'd really love to have one of these Apple IIs to do a bunch of stuff, computer stuff and graphics generation stuff for Civil Defense." And I'm like, "Hey, I can program that for you." So in the summer of '78, I went and did a volunteer job at Civil Defense and wrote some programs to help. The first one I did was nuclear bomb damage estimation systems. So, and look, this was back during the Cold War, a totally different era.
Wow.
And then some of the other work that I did was so well received. They flew me down to Washington. I met with folks at FEMA. They gave me a contract to do the work. I actually got paid to do it as like this high school kid. And that was the beginning of my professional career. And I've been doing coding ever since.
Wow. But, that's quite a story.
Yeah. And so, it's part of my Rhode Island roots.
Yeah. So where did you grow up in Rhode Island?
I grew up in Pawtucket, just on Oak Hill, East Ave, just over the Providence border. And then for high school, my mom moved to Providence and I went to classical.
Okay. Excellent. So even though you're not still a Rhode Islander, you are a fan. So we can talk.
This is the shirt that I'm wearing.
Excellent. Nice. All right. I approve. So this is good. So tell me, how are you? And well, first of all, tell me again your cat's name.
This is Tessa. She loves me and is a normal cat to all other humans.
Okay.
But I think whenever I get on conference calls, she thinks that I'm singing to her, and she has to come over and be the center of attention.
All right. I'm not generally a cat person, so this works out well for me. This is like good distance.
Socially distancing.
Yeah.
Cat stuff.
Perfect. I can admire from appropriately far away. So tell me, how are you? How have you been during this time? What are you seeing and experiencing?
First of all, I am experiencing being just incredibly lucky and incredibly grateful for where I am. So San Francisco and my zip code, we've got 43,000 people in my zip code, and we've had 39 cases of COVID. So it's a very cool zone, and I'm just deeply grateful for what the mayor of San Francisco, Mayor Breed, and Governor Newsom have done in California. And I'm also heartbroken to see what's happened in the Northeast. Work is actually pretty good because we do make the tools. The work that I do, we make the tools for remote workers to access corporate lands. So we're actually doing pretty well. We're pretty busy. And the team that I work with has been my team members. Some are in the Bay Area, some are in Maryland, and some are in Bangalore, India. And just watching the resilience of the teams and watching how people have just pulled together and said, yeah, we're going to come in and we're going to do work. and we're going to make the world a safer place. It's really heartening. And, you know, once again, I'm grateful to have so many blessings. Yeah, and I also look around. I've had, you know, dozens of friends and coworkers who have had COVID. I lost a friend back in April, and it's something that I never expected to experience in my life.
Mm.
And, you know, growing up in the 70s and 80s and, you know, 90s, you know, there was some strife, but there was never anything that felt like a true threat. And this feels like a true threat to everybody. And I don't know, it's scary. So how am I doing? Mixed emotions, and, you know, on one hand, grateful for where I am, and on the other hand, just broken up over what other people are experiencing. And, you know, watching pictures of people waiting for hours at food banks, it's heartbreaking. Watching what's going on with the protests and what goes beyond the protests is just heartbreaking. I mean, I feel like I'm sorry, I'm about to cry. I just feel like we're just at a place where we should be coming together and where we should be helping our fellow brothers and sisters. And that doesn't seem to be what's happening. And
yeah, it is a tough time. I'm very sorry for the loss of your friend.
Thank you. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I mean, also very lucky and fortunate and blessed. And this week has been it's been a tough week. There's definitely a lot of injustice out there, and it's, you know, yeah, hard to take.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you are, you know, hopeful for the future about?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that this is an inflection point where we learn as a society what made us great and how that's kind of slipped away. And, you know, so once again, going back to kind of doing stuff for FEMA back in '78, in the Civil Defense office was in the basement of the State House. And there was this 12 by 12 room inside the basement that had like 4 inches of steel. It was effectively a safe. And in that room was bookshelves of binders that contemplated every possible disaster. And, you know, it was a playbook for every possible disaster. And that was the country I grew up in, the country that could take care of other countries, the country that was always there to do the right thing. And we somehow have lost our way. And I'm so sincerely hoping, you know, that the light for me is we're being forced to think about something, you know, that is affecting everybody. And can we come back to what this country was after the Second World War? Can we come back to a country that had a GI Bill and a Marshall Plan, where people got to go to school, where people got to buy houses, where people had, you know, reasonable jobs and could afford to put their kids through school? Just, you know, one parent working 40, 45 hours a week. I'm hopeful that we can get back there. I'm hopeful that we can get back to taking the bounty that we have in this country, the bounty that we have in the world, and really making things more equitable, making things more just. So that's what I'm hopeful about. And I'm also really scared if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's well said. Is there anything that you are planning to take with you from this time into, you know, as things get back more, I don't want to say back to normal, because I don't think that's what is going to happen, but, you know, as life settles into whatever it's going to settle into, any personal or community practices or.
So one of the things that I've been doing is having more connections with old friends. And, you know, that's something that I want to bring forward, which is, you know, yeah, I left Rhode Island, but I've been chatting with some of my Rhode Island friends. I've been exchanging emails or doing calls or whatever. And I think that, and maybe this is just me getting into old fogey land, but, you know, there's a certain amount of, yeah, you know, there were some really awesome people that I met along the way. And somehow, you know, through day-to-day life, lost connection. And now is a time where I've been regaining those connections. And I think fostering that is the thing that I most want to take forward.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think you're going to take forward?
I've been writing more letters and postcards and mailing things, and I've been getting more in return, and I, you know, love that. Like, I love mail. It's been one of the highlights of my days. And I, you know, I like just the process and the thought of taking time to write, and, you know, what it means to receive that. So that's one of the things I hope I keep doing and keep doing.
That's very cool. And I mean, when you receive a letter, can you tell me like how you feel? Is it like opening the letter? Does he like opening the envelope have something special? Is it like the penmanship? I mean, you know, what like kind of what touches your brain in a nice way?
I think it's just the like, it's the delight of going to the mailbox and there's something that's addressed by a person and it's for me. It's like a little present, you know, and some of the penmanship is not great, I will tell you that, but I'm not calling out any names, my friends here, but no, it's just, you know, somebody like took time to sit and write a couple sentences. And
you know, once again, that what do I hope to come out of, you know, this really, really difficult time? I hope what comes out of it is a positively changed world where we feel connected because we are connected. And having, I mean, look, if we weren't connected, you know, somebody getting sick in China 6 months ago wouldn't affect me, but we are connected because somebody got sick in China 6 months ago. And now, you know, 5.5, 6 million people in the world are sick. That's connection. And that's the difficult part of connection, but how can we turn that on its head and say we are connected and therefore we can do good for each other, we can be kind to each other, we can include each other. And so, you know,